Picture this: a young man so captivated by his own reflection that he forgets the world around him. This is Narcissus, the figure at the heart of an ancient Greek myth. His story is where our journey begins today, unraveling the complex and often misunderstood concept of narcissism. But narcissism isn't just a tale from the past. It's a concept woven into the fabric of our modern lives. From Freud's early theories to the impact of social media, today we're diving deep into how narcissism shapes our world, and how understanding it might just help you navigate the narcissists in your life. But first, let's look back to where it all began, with the myth of Narcissus. The story of Narcissus isn't just a cautionary tale. It's the foundation of understanding self-obsession today. Narcissus, unable to pull away from his own reflection, represents the dangers of excessive self-love. This myth gives us a powerful image: a person so in love with themselves that they lose touch with reality. But what does this mean for us today? How did this ancient story evolve into the psychological concept we now call narcissism? To understand that, we need to fast forward a few thousand years to the work of Sigmund Freud, the man who first connected this myth to the modern mind. Enter Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, who brought the concept of narcissism into the world of psychology. Freud identified two types: primary narcissism, a normal phase in childhood where a child's world revolves around themselves, and secondary narcissism, which arises later in life when someone turns their love for others back onto themselves, often as a defense mechanism. Freud's theories paved the way for understanding narcissism not just as self-love, but as a complex psychological phenomenon that can influence how we relate to the world around us. Yet, as we continue to explore the human psyche, other psychologists like Heinz Kohut and Otto Kernberg expanded on Freud's work, diving even deeper into the development of these traits. Building on Freud's ideas, psychologists Heinz Kohut and Otto Kernberg offered deeper insights into how narcissism develops. Kohut introduced us to self-objects, those people or things that validate our sense of self. Think of a child who looks to their parents for approval. If that validation is missing, narcissistic traits might emerge as a way to fill that void. On the other hand, Kernberg focused on how early relationships shape our ability to integrate both positive and negative self-images. He suggested that when we struggle to reconcile these, it can lead to the grandiosity and lack of empathy typical of narcissistic personalities. But why did these traits develop in the first place? To answer that, we need to look back to our evolutionary history. Narcissism isn't just a modern issue. It's been part of our survival toolkit for thousands of years. From an evolutionary perspective, traits like confidence, assertiveness, and a strong desire for status helped our ancestors secure resources and mates. In a world where survival depended on being the strongest, these narcissistic traits were not just beneficial, they were essential. Today, these same traits can help people climb the social ladder. However, while they might have been useful in the past, in modern society, unchecked narcissism can lead to toxic relationships and destructive behavior. And these traits are not just about behavior, they're deeply rooted in our brain structure and function. Narcissism isn't just about personality, it's deeply embedded in our brain structure and function. Recent studies have used advanced brain imaging techniques to uncover the specific neural circuits that contribute to narcissistic traits. These studies reveal that both gray matter, which is involved in processing and interpreting information, and white matter, which connects different brain areas, play crucial roles in how narcissism manifests. One key area is the prefrontal cortex, especially the lateral and middle frontal gyri. These regions are heavily involved in self-regulation and decision-making, which are often impaired in individuals with high levels of narcissism. This can lead to the exaggerated self-importance and poor empathy characteristic of narcissistic behavior. Interestingly, the research also highlights the role of the default mode network, or DMN. The DMN is a network of brain regions active when we're at rest, often involved in self-referential thinking. Essentially, how we view ourselves and our place in the world. For individuals with narcissistic traits, this network could be more active, particularly in areas linked to social cognition and emotional processing, like the superior temporal gyrus and angular gyrus. Moreover, studies using machine learning have identified that a specific circuit, including regions like the Rolandic operculum and gyrus, can predict the presence of narcissistic traits. These areas are crucial for processing complex emotional and social information, which might explain why narcissists often struggle with empathy, heightened emotional reactions to perceived slights. This neural understanding of narcissism reinforces that these traits are not just about personality, but are deeply rooted in how our brains are wired. However, this also means that changing these behaviors requires addressing these deeply ingrained neural patterns, often making therapy and behavioral interventions challenging but essential. And while our brains play a significant role, we can't ignore the cultural and societal influences that shape how narcissism is expressed. In our digital age, narcissism isn't just encouraged, it's rewarded. Social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook thrive on self-promotion, making it easier than ever to seek validation from others. But this constant chase for likes and followers can lead to a superficial sense of self-worth, where your value is tied to online popularity rather than real-life connections. Interestingly, this trend is more prevalent in individualistic cultures like the US, where personal success and self-promotion are highly valued. In contrast, collectivist cultures, which prioritize community and shared responsibility, tend to discourage narcissistic traits. But this digital age of self-promotion has far-reaching consequences, shaping not just our personal lives, but how we interact on a larger social scale. Before we dive deeper, let's take a quick break. If you're finding this video helpful, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us bring more valuable content to you. The digital age has taken narcissism to a whole new level. With everyone curating their lives online, the pressure to present a perfect image is intense. But this obsession with self-image can lead to a cycle of anxiety, depression, and a loss of genuine connection. In a world where everyone is trying to outdo each other, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters. Understanding the darker side of these traits is crucial, especially when we look at the toxic combination of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Narcissism doesn't exist in isolation. It's often part of a darker trio of traits known as the dark triad, which also includes Machiavellianism and psychopathy. Together, these traits form a toxic mix that can lead to manipulative, exploitative, and even harmful behaviors. People with these traits may excel in environments that reward ambition without empathy, but the cost is often high for those around them. Understanding how these traits interact can help us navigate relationships with individuals who may not have our best interests at heart. But there is hope. Narcissistic traits, while challenging, can be managed with the right support. So, can narcissism be treated? The answer is yes, but it's not easy. Therapeutic approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, and dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT, focus on helping individuals recognize and change their narcissistic patterns. It's about developing empathy, increasing self-awareness, and learning to build healthier relationships. While progress can be slow, with the right support, individuals with narcissistic traits can learn to manage their behaviors and lead more fulfilling lives. And as we grow and change, so too do these traits. Let's explore how narcissism evolves over the lifespan. Interestingly, narcissism isn't static. It changes over time. Research shows that narcissistic traits often decrease with age as people gain more life experience and develop greater self-reflection and empathy. However, for some, these traits can persist, influencing how they interact with others well into later life. Understanding how narcissism evolves can help us better manage relationships with those who might struggle with these traits at different stages of their lives. From ancient myths to modern neuroscience, we've covered a lot of ground in understanding narcissism, but the journey doesn't end here. So what have we learned today? From its mythological roots in ancient Greece to its modern-day implications, narcissism is a complex and multifaceted trait. It's shaped by our brains, our cultures, and our individual experiences. While it can be damaging, particularly for those in relationships with narcissists, understanding the underlying mechanisms can empower us to navigate these challenges more effectively. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we understand about narcissism, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves and others from its more harmful effects. Curious about how narcissists compare to sociopaths? In our next video, we'll dive into the differences and similarities between these two personalities. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you, and your support helps us create more content like this.